Hello. So this is how to get over an ex. Bad breakups can leave people reeling for months and even years if something isn't done to intervene and set you back on your right track. If you find yourself struggling to get back on the straight and narrow after the loss of a relationship, remember that you weren't born with this person on your hip and you'll be able to move on eventually. Sometimes it just takes a little time. Here are some strategies you can implement today to start getting over an ex once and for all. Before we start, here are 6 psychological reasons you're having a hard time moving on. Breakups hurt us in many more ways than just on our emotions. Our minds and bodies become physiologically linked to our relationship, and when we lose our partner, getting over it means waiting for our minds to return to the pre-relationship sociological state. 1. Breakups and physical pain feel the same way. The feeling of getting punched in the face and breaking up with your long-term partner may not be exactly the same, but they're a lot closer than you may imagine. The brain sorts different kinds of pain into various priorities, according to how much danger or threat it believes the pain may possess. Breakup pain is highly prioritized by the brain, meaning the same regions of the brain that are activated during intense physical pain are also activated during the emotional pain of a breakup. 2. We're wired for social connection, making breakup coping harder. Humans are social creatures, and there is no greater social relationship than your romantic partner. This is why we react so negatively when we lose our romantic partner, because our adult attachment style forces us to push them away or to cling on even tighter. We go into survival mode when our partner tries to break up with us, making the process several times more painful than it has to be. 3. Social rejection makes our nervous system go haywire. Losing your romantic partner is a social rejection of the highest order, and our brains have been primed against avoiding any kind of social rejection. According to one study, it was found that social rejection in the form of a breakup leads to an intense response in the parasympathetic nervous system. People who were broken up with felt literal pain in their hearts, with heart rate slowing down due to their intense inner pain. 4. Love and drugs bring equal euphoria to the brain. Nothing gives you more feel-good hormones than love and intimacy, specifically making love with your romantic partner. In fact, studies have found that the pleasure centers activated in the brain during sex with a partner are the same ones activated when people take drugs. So when we lose that sex, we tend to go through reactionary withdrawal symptoms similar to those experienced when drug addicts try to get clean. 5. Emotional memories linger all around us. In the same way that our muscles have muscle memory with certain actions, our minds create emotional memories that are associated with certain events, places, or activities. The places where you and your partner used to hang out or the activities you once did together will now be sources of pain because your emotional memories are activated every time you experience them again post-breakup. 6. Natural biology makes women hurt more after breakups. There's a reason why women seem to be more in the end of a relationship much more than men. And it's because women are much more invested into relationships than their male counterparts. Biology forces women to be more selective with their chosen partner, meaning the loss of any partner feels like the loss of their soulmate. Simply put, getting over a relationship in which you are truly emotionally invested can never be easy, no matter how tough and strong you may feel. One study found that it takes people an average of 11 weeks to fully recover from a broken relationship. This means regaining their sense of self, becoming positive once again, and reclaiming the courage to experience new things on their own. So, in this, it talked about the 5 stages of moving on. So you have stage 1, denial, the experience. You first accept the reality of this breakup. You can't truly understand how this happened or that it's actually real. This may just seem like another fight, no matter how serious it actually is this time. You cling on to the relationship for so long, even if everyone around you already knows it's over. Anger. You feel forced to look at this grim reality head on. The relationship is over and you're pissed. You feel like you didn't deserve this pain, and all you want to do is prove to your ex that they were wrong for what they did. Bargaining, your anger is dissipated, and now you're left with the if onlys and what ifs. You wonder what compromises you could have made to keep the relationship, and whether or not it's too late to make those moves. You do whatever you can to convince yourself that all is not lost, even if your ex has totally moved on. Depression. Perhaps the hardest and longest state depression is the fatigue, the low mood, the hopelessness. You feel now that you have no other choice but to accept that your relationship is now just a distant memory. You don't want to do anything and don't care about anything, and it doesn't matter to you what your ex may think of your situation. They did this to you, didn't they? And then finally, acceptance. So many people make the mistake of believing that the final step of moving on means forgiving your ex and living a new life where they don't exist in your mind. But the true final stage is accepting that it's over and that it's just part of your life you need to stop trying to run away from. When you see them, you no longer feel negative emotions. They are now just another person to you. The chemical process you experience during a breakup, emotions are one of the most addictive things available to you. When you're in love with someone, your brain is hit with a massive surges of dopamine. Brain scans can have shown that our minds follow very similar patterns when influenced by cocaine or nicotine. When you no longer have access to your intimate partner post-breakup, your brain doesn't fall out of love with them. It simply continues to be in love with them, but you no longer have access to them. And like a crying baby who doesn't have access to his mother that is so yearns for, our minds rejector stimulus is on overdrive. We simultaneously feel the pain of abandonment, the deep craving for a fix of our drug, aka partner of choice, and our once regular hits of dopamine and oxytocin are nowhere to be found. In fact, immediately after a breakup, your happy chemicals are replaced with a flood of cortisol, stress hormone, and adrenaline. It's also as if your body is saying, here's a rush of energy, time to get up, either work your ass off to get that one back, or go make yourself a more valuable partner and find someone else. Long story short, if you were hooked up to a brain scanner, your brain after a painful breakup is highly similar to the brain of a drug addict in rehab. Okay, getting over your ex. Do these things first. Remind yourself of the good and the bad and the awful. Part of the reason we get stuck in the process of processing our breakup is that we realize the relationship as a big collection of amazing, emotionally fulfilling times with very little downside. In reality, you fought frequently and there were core incompatibilities that drove you apart. To get a more accurate view of your past relationship, journal about the things that you loved about the relationship, the things that bothered you about your ex, and your part in the downfall of the relationship. Also, allow yourself space to grieve by yourself. Take a few days at least to sit with your emotions and let them move through you. Every time you resist feeling an emotion, it goes down to the basement to lift weights. So if you ignore the frustration, anger, resentment, hurt, or pain that is present in your body, it will only get stronger and you will come back louder than before until you listen to the signals. Also embody the you that felt the most stifled. In the vast majority of failed relationships, there is bound to be a part of you that felt like it was discouraged by your ex. Maybe you didn't like your playful side, or how much time you wanted to spend with your friends, or how much time you spent working on your career. Whatever it is that felt dormant, go and inhabit that side of yourself to the fullest degree. You only suffer in a breakup to the extent that you lost yourself during the relationship. So there might be some leftover negative emotional residue if you felt like you weren't fully allowed to be yourself around your partner. So go be you, all of you. Also use your newfound energy for positive growth. With the surge of adrenaline and cortisol that you get after a breakup, telling you to get up and get out, aka numb yourself to the pain by partying and hooking up with others, you have a huge opportunity. Get your exercise routine dialed, learn a new skill, or build a new business. I've had clients who built successful 7-figure businesses after the surge of adrenaline, from a surge of adrenaline they got from an especially painful breakup. Some of the best art in the world was made by people who have had lost love. Utilize this current of emotional energy for your personal gain. See your emotional process as a trend, not a linear path away from suffering. If you expect your emotional suffering to decrease in a linear A to B straight line, you're in for a rude awakening. Reframe your processing of a breakup as something that generally tends upward, and you won't be as taken aback by the down days. Realistically, it might take a few months before you feel totally like yourself again, and that's okay. You aren't broken, you're human. So, is getting over an ex truly possible? Do I still do mental gymnastics sometimes to begin convincing myself that I'm still not over her? Yes, I do. As do a handful of my clients that are engaged to other women. But our brains are experts at convincing ourselves logically that we want things that aren't good for us because we want them emotionally. When I slow down for longer than a minute and think about why we broke up several times, it was because we weren't right for each other. She was my ex for a reason, just like yours is your ex for a reason. If it was meant to be, then it would have been easier and you both would have fought to keep it going. But now it's the past, and all that's left for us to do is to let go of it. They came into your life to teach you a lesson about yourself, and now it's time to gracefully let go of that person. You are better off for having known them, and you both bumped into each other's on your life journey so that you can better prepare each other for your next respective relationship. So be patient. Maybe the most important piece of breakup advice for guys is to understand that getting over an ex-girlfriend is a process. It will hurt and take longer than you think it is. By accepting the fact that your relationship ended up, taking the time, and following these tips, you will be able to be stronger than ever. So that's it for this video. Thank you for listening.